Hi and welcome to the demo of SUSE HA automation and monitoring. So the plan over the next 5 minutes is to show how we can deploy production-ready SAP on AWS in under an hour. As you can see, we're deploying 2 instances, each in a different availability zone, connected by SAP HANA system replication, and all wrapped with a SUSE HA cluster for maximum availability. What I'll also try and show you is a preview of our monitoring capability, which can give you some insights into your SAP landscape. I'm using SUSE 15 as our deployment node here, but you could quite easily use your own workstation. I've chosen this because it makes it easy to get hold of all the tools you need to do the deployment. So a quick check of what's installed, and you can see that we already have the AWS CLI installed and configured, and we also have Terraform installed as well, and all of that is provided as part of the SUSE public cloud module, which is part of SUSE 15. A quick check of the AWS CLI, and you can see that everything is installed and configured, and we have access to an S3 bucket, which we'll be looking at next. So if you take a look at the right hand side of the screen, you can see we have the S3 management console available to us, inside which we have an S3 bucket called My SAP Media, and inside that folder is how we're presenting the actual SAP Media itself. In this case, it's a 4-part RAR file. There are many other ways you can present media depending on your use case. To the SUSE automation project for the purposes of today, I've chosen this method here. So with our SAP Media set up in our S3 bucket, the next thing to do is to take a look at the automation code itself. Now this lives inside GitHub, so the code is completely open source and available for anybody to use and consume. So what I'll do is I'll just grab the name of the project and clone it down to our workstation, ready for us to configure. So the next thing to do is if we take a look into the AWS directory, which is part of the project, this is where most of the files that we'll need to work on exist. So the first thing we have is a Terraform example file. So this is a file which is used to give you a head start when it comes to configuring the project. And if you're just configuring a sandbox environment, then you pretty much only need to change around 10 parameters in this file. So what I'll do now is go in and edit the file itself. As you can see, there are many parameters you can set depending on how much you want to customize, but for a sandbox environment, you pretty much only need to change 10 of these. Things like the region you want to deploy to, the instance types of the machines that you want to deploy as part of this, and of course, our S3 bucket where we deployed our SAP Media. So what I'm going to do is go through this and fill this in, and I'll speak to you when I'm done. So what's going to happen here is Terraform will start creating all the infrastructure that we saw in the earlier diagram. And once that's complete, what we'll actually use is Salt in the background to do all the OS configuration, software deployment, and cluster configuration off the back of that. So I'm going to let this run, and we'll see you on the other side. If we refresh the AWS console, you should be able to see all those additional nodes that have been put into place. So what I'd like to do at this point is to take a look at the actual monitoring server itself. So if we copy the IP address, the public IP address of the monitoring node itself, we'll open up a new tab, and then we'll go and take a look at some of the dashboards SUSE has to offer. So we actually have a number of dashboards. It's not just the SUSE and OS components we can view, but also we can take a look at the actual SAP HANA database itself, or even NetWeaver if we choose to deploy that as well. I'm just going to take a look at the HA dashboard itself to start with. And if we make this a little bigger, as you can see, it gives you a full view of the HA cluster. We can see that there are 2 nodes running in our cluster here. Both are healthy. All our resources are running, which means that our database is up and running. And as you can see, we've got a full list of resources at the bottom of the screen telling you that the various cluster resources which are helping protect this instance are running perfectly. So that brings us to the end of this short demo on the SUSE automation project and the monitoring dashboards that we're previewing today. If you have any questions, please get in touch with us at aws@suse.com. Thanks very much for listening.